video in my series about getting my colonoscopy and ileoscopy, aka shoving a camera up my butt. My life is just so glamorous. So if you have not seen the first 2 videos, please go back and watch them. I'll put the links below if I remember, and I should probably put this in a playlist, so I'll try to do that too. But I have awful memory, so we'll see. Alright, so I left off with Maggie being an awful prep person. So I go in that morning, my nerves are shaking. Zach has never been sick a day in his life. So this is all new to him, so like, be easy on him, guys. He is my greatest support. Love him to death. Obviously, I wouldn't be with him if I hated his guts. But he does not know how to take a sick situation where I am like not happy, I'm nervous, I like don't want to joke around. He thinks joking around is gonna make it like a lighter situation and less stressful. So I am like nerves galore. I haven't had a camera up my tushy in so long, and he's never seen me in this sort of situation, so it was funny. After the scopes were done though, and I came out and was like drugged up, you know, he was serious then. So Zach was the one that took me to my procedure. You need somebody to take you home after you've had anesthesia. Also to make sure that like you don't drop dead when you're home. So he was my designated don't drop dead watcher. The thing that I found really scary was that they took me back without him. So when I was getting prepped, he was in the waiting room and I was all by myself talking to doctors. And I hadn't done that before. I'm a child, all right? I was in a children's hospital the last time I did this. Pressure was on, like I better know my stuff. So that was the first time I've done this without my dad there. I didn't want him to take off work. I didn't want him to drive all the way to the city for like 2 hours. That would be stupid. So, you know, not having Zach, not having my dad, I was like, oh shoot, I'm an adult. I have to do this myself. So they took me back, and you know, the anesthesiologist went through my whole history, and they placed an IV. I had great nurses. I was so nervous. I forgot to take off my underwear when they tell you to take off everything. I had to ask them to bring back my bag of things because they were going to put it in a locker. I was like, I'm so sorry. I forgot to take off my undies. I told them that I was nervous, but like, I'm also a big freaking baby. Like, I tell kids to just like suck it up all the time. Like, you'll be fine. Meanwhile, here I am forgetting to take off my underwear, shaking, like visibly like. So after this, the chair that I was in rolled into the room that they do the scopes. I'm seeing all of the stuff, and I have like this weird thing. I'm gonna sound crazy, and I know it's just like placebo effect. I get so loopy, it's like I've had a few cocktails whenever I go into a procedure room, like an OR or anything like that. I just get really loopy and out of it, and I was starting to feel that, and I was like, oh my god. They haven't even given me anything, and I'm already like, So they put a nasal cannula in, they start oxygen, they just let me know that's basically just to help me during the procedure. Take vitals, my blood pressure is super low, but I'm like, my blood pressure runs super low anyway. And yeah, there was probably 7 people in that room. So they had me on like a normal saline drip. I probably got a maximum of like 50 to 100 milliliters because the drip was so slow. But like, you know, it's fine. I'm used to running everything over a pump, so I know to the milliliter what I'm getting, but I got like nothing from that. But they also ran the propofol, or they pushed propofol into my IV. Because I work as a nurse, I am terrified of IV infiltrations. We see them on little kids, they look really bad. Our unit is super like that is bad if your kid infiltrates. Like, we watch our IVs. I'm terrified of any meds that might like screw up the vein. And they pull out the syringe of propofol, and I want to say it was a 30 milliliter syringe. Maybe it was just like, it probably wasn't, but I saw it and I was like, and it was a thick white, you know, I don't give propofol. I don't work in the OR, so I'm looking at the syringe like, oh my god, that is gonna go out of my vein. But, and they push it. Like, I'm not used to that. I work with children. I work with babies. So they push the propofol, and I already feel it. Like 5 seconds in, I'm like, oh shoot. They're like, what? I'm like, I feel it. So, you know, I've got the team around me. I'm like, all right, guys, good job. Like, we're gonna do great. Like, let's get this done. Thanks, everybody. I'm out. I'm out cold. So it feels like maybe 2 minutes passed by. I'm being wheeled back to, I think it was a different room, but like, I was pretty foggy, so I don't know. The nurse is explaining all of my results. I'm like, yeah, oh wow, great. I'm like, by the way, I'm gonna ask you what you just told me again in like 15 minutes because I have no idea what you're saying to me. She's like, that's okay, I was planning on it anyway. They bring Zach in and I'm sitting there and I honestly did not feel that bad. And the nurse comes over and she starts wiping my face. She's like, oh, missed a spot. I'm like, what? And she's like, you threw up and you also woke up during the procedure. I'm like, oh, great. I have this lovely tendency, to wake up during procedures. I have woken up during resections, I've woken up during most scopes, I've woken up during dilations, it's just what I do. The previous hospital that I went to knew this, and I would tell them beforehand because I was so terrified that I would wake up during a procedure. But I will tell you, I've been very, very fortunate that when I had my resection, I woke up at the very end. I believe that they were closing up the wounds. I could feel them working on my belly and I still had the breathing tube in. But I knew it was the end and like I should have been waking up within a few moments anyway. It just shouldn't have been that soon. But I woke up with a breathing tube and I did freak out a little bit because it, you know, that is weird. It feels so weird and very uncomfortable. But I'm very lucky that that didn't cause any sort of trauma. I don't, you know, if that were to happen again, it's not something that I fear. I would fear if there was major pain, but it was just uncomfortable. It was an uncomfortable feeling and it's not something that I fear. So if I wake up again, like it happens, and I think that I would be okay. It was not traumatizing to me to wake up during these procedures. But the problem is, I think that my previous hospital kind of added on the drugs to help keep me asleep because as time went on, I stayed asleep and I did not wake up for a long time. And I would go home feeling like hardcore hangover for 2 days. Like it would be bad. And I would just feel awful. It would feel like I got hit by a truck. So this time I was like, new people, new faces, nobody knows my history, I'm not gonna say anything. And I didn't say anything and they gave me the normal amount of drugs and I woke up. But it's fine, like I don't, so when she told me that, I was still pretty out of it and I was like, yeah, like I kind of remember waking up. And she's like, oh, you do? And I said, yeah, like I don't remember waking up. I could remember that I had woken up when I first actually woke up. It's like a dream where when you first wake up, you remember the dream, but as time goes on, you forget what you were dreaming. So that's kind of how I can explain it. I remembered it when I first woke up. I was like, oh, this is what happened. I remember like my eyes opening and what you guys said to me. And then I can't remember it now. I also have the tendency to throw up, but it's always on the way home. I always throw up afterwards. I always have hardcore nausea. So I prepared. I had like 15 trash bags in the car. I told Zach to prepare. I had mouthwash. I had wipes. I had everything ready to go. So if I vomited, I could do it on the go. But this time I apparently decided that during the procedure would be a great idea. You know, just let me suffocate on my own vomit. I suck. I love making things complicated for these people. I feel so bad. Anyway, I threw up and woke up and it was fine and they brought me out and I could feel, you know, that like burning. I knew I had thrown up. I was like, oh, I did. But it wound up being fine. I started waking up more and more and I was so surprised at how much better I felt this time around. I felt great. The nurse anesthetist came over to me and she was like, is this something that you normally do? And I said, yeah, I mean, but like afterwards, I've never thrown up during. She goes, just let us know next time that you have nausea. We'll give you Zofran. So she went and got Zofran and she pushed it through my IV and boom. I actually never felt nauseated when I was awake. That was like the first time ever. I didn't throw up on the way home. I didn't throw up at all. I ate when I got home like a normal meal, and it was awesome. I also, before we left, I was asking for pain meds. And I was definitely in pain. Like, it does not feel good to have your stricture dilated and all that. And in the past, I was remembering how awful I felt afterwards and how much I bleed and just can't like even sit down. And they've given me pain meds before. So I asked and they were like, you know what, we don't really do pain meds unless it's like a very serious situation because of what's going on in our country with like the opioid crisis. And I was a little bit like, oh. But they gave me Tylenol. They gave me a dose of Tylenol before I left. I just, a couple of pills. I was able to take them fine. And that worked absolutely fine. I was totally fine with Tylenol. I wound up taking it pretty regularly for the next 2 days. And yeah. So I felt a little silly that I asked for the pain meds because I definitely did not need them. I'm just so used to what I felt like in the past where I feel awful and I feel in so much pain. And like, yeah, I was in pain. It did hurt, but Tylenol was more than enough. And something that can be hard to convey to other people when you have a chronic illness is that pain doesn't go away completely. It never will. It's always there. But, Tylenol was enough to take the edge off, and I was perfectly comfortable and I could ignore the pain, so it was totally fine. That is basically what happened during the scope. Me vomiting, me waking up, causing problems, just typical Maggie. But that is what happened during the scope. Watch out for the next video where I talk about the follow-up plan. And if you like this video, please hit the little thumbs up, dude, and subscribe if you are enjoying this content. I will see you in the 4th episode of my scope series. See you guys later. Bye.